There are lots of different mechanics throughout the Zelda games, like playing songs, transforming, or even going through time or another world. So that of course got me wondering, what could we see in Tears of the Kingdom? And I thought of some mechanics I thought would be cool if they made a comeback. So here's 5 mechanics that I think they should bring back for Tears of the Kingdom. Let's get into the video. To start things off, we have swimming. No, not this swimming. Not this swimming either. No, this swimming. The good swimming. This was the swimming that we saw in Twilight Princess, Majora's Mask with the Zora mask, and Skyward Sword. Honorable mention to Ocarina of Time, but the iron boots make me not recommend that. But with all that being said, underwater areas would actually be really cool in the Breath of the Wild engine. Like, just imagine underwater cave systems and things like that. There's a lot of different things under the ocean in Breath of the Wild, and we've seen a lot of different islands that are floating now in the distance. Things like the labyrinths are floating now, and maybe if the Akala one is floating, there could be a giant whirlpool below it, or something like that. I think things like that could be really cool, and would add another layer to exploration. Next up we have digging in sand. The most prominent examples of this being in Minish Cap, where you had the mole mitts and you could dig in walls. This could lead you into tunnel systems, connect pathways, and it could even lead you underground. Now in Skyward Sword's case, we also had the mole mitts to burrow underground, and this was used to get through certain parts in the dungeon, the fire sanctuary, as well as for other things outside of the temple. But besides that, we also had the gust bellows. This would allow us to blow sand out of the way, and it would let us uncover treasure, enemies, and sometimes bosses. I always thought this was a really cool mechanic, and it should have been expanded upon, and I think it would add a giant layer of depth if we could edit the terrain on a larger scale in Tears of the Kingdom, and it would add a lot new possibilities with what you could do and what you could manipulate. Next up we have darkness. We've seen it used in a lot of places throughout the Zelda series, a little bit in Majora's Mask, throughout Minish Cap, and a little bit in Breath of the Wild. I'm sure that's not everywhere though, but there's something about having to play in the pitch black, find your location, and light up certain areas. It adds a nice layer of depth into the game, and since Breath of the Wild has a really good lighting system, and a little bit of a temple was based around this mechanic, it should definitely make a comeback, as there's a lot of things you can do with it. But I'm sure there's going to be other locations, and certainly in the underground, there's going to be pitch black locations that we're going to have to navigate, and it would be cool if maybe even they gave us a lantern. Maybe you could carry around a blue flame, since I think the lantern was a pretty cool item in Twilight Princess, so that's an idea for another video. Now next up, we have light, which is pretty fitting to follow. Light was a pretty cool mechanic in Ocarina of Time, Majora's Mask, and the Wind Waker. All of these games had a mirror shield, which I think would be really cool if they brought that back in some form. This allowed you to transfer light, and this could be used to erase sunblocks or light up sun switches, to open doors, drop chests, or reveal pathways and things like that. There's a lot of different light puzzles spread throughout the entirety of these games, and there's even some enemy interactions that involve light. Like when you kill certain enemies in Majora's Mask with light arrows, it'll drop more rupees, or if you point light at certain enemies in the Wind Waker, it'll weaken them, or if you shoot them with light arrows, it'll instantly defeat them. There's tons of room for cool puzzles and interactions with this mechanic, and I think it would be a really cool addition to the engine of Breath of the Wild, and it would add a lot to Tears of the Kingdom, especially because it seems the game has a darker atmosphere, and it would be cool to have light to counteract that. Maybe we could even get light arrows back. And finally, we have time shifting. Time shifting is a mechanic that is completely unique to Skyward Sword, but it's a really cool one. Basically, if you hit a time shift stone and hit it, it can send you into the past. Now these are found in the desert areas, so we see the desert go from, well, deserted, to hitting the time shift stone, to see those bones turn into bokoblins and the land turn to grass. Now this is an awesome mechanic. There's even 2 whole temples designed around the mechanic, and I think it's good enough to come back. Sometimes you would have to have the timeshift stones deactivated, while other times you would have to have them activated. Now there's even timeshift orbs. There's a couple sections in the game where you find an orb that you can carry around and it'll revert time around you. This was a really cool puzzle because you had to throw this in a certain place and then run to a switch, because in the present the switch was covered with spikes. There's a lot of cool things like that, and I feel like it would be awesome to see another time-based mechanic show up in the series, but one not as drastic as going 7 years in the future like Ocarina of Time, because we've already got the sky and the underground. But with that, that's going to be the end of today's video, another speculation video and what I want for the next game. As always, let me know what you guys thought, and if you had your own mechanics you want to come back, be sure to let me know in the comments below. And if you like this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Don't forget to join the Discord from the description below, and consider becoming a channel member. I'll see you in the next one.